Hey everyone, and welcome back to the news. So today we have something that is in addition to a story that we've covered in the past, but what matters is that it's a slow encroachment of something that I think the vast majority of us do not like, and it's done by a publisher that really has mishandled their public perception. Not just through their communication, but primarily through their disagreeable actions, at least in the eyes of many, and yes, myself included. So today we're going to talk about a smiley face being sold for £1.79. But that's only part of a story, because the main point is really like a frog slowly boiling in water and not noticing. The plans just seem to be something that are being rolled slowly out over a few years, such that, well, things will regress without us noticing. So, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. It is not lost on me that most of you are here because of my World of Warcraft channel, so it's pretty unlikely that you're big Call of Duty fans. That is fair enough, but I think this is part of a broad story here that really does apply to all of us, and that is the slow progression of microtransaction mechanics into more and more elements of the games that we love, especially in their visual customization. Now, I think it's very clear to most of us that modern games have suddenly decided to make player customization and expression a large core, even when it's a game where it doesn't really matter to the overall fantasy. After all, Battlefield V and Black Ops 4, unlike World of Warcraft, are games where you have a disposable character. You respawn all the time, you don't really care about them too much. Historically, having a golden skin for a gun was not really about looking cool, it was about showing to the world your mastery over that weapon and how cool you were. Well, these games really have changed a lot since then, having fairly granular customization mechanics. Now, interestingly, we have seen this be on the rise at the same time that we have seen player-based dividing DLCs be a little bit on the decline, with Battlefield V having all future maps and guns be for free, and Black Ops 4 trying to bundle it all into a single season pass that just you buy and that's you in for all of the future content, instead of having loads of multiple DLCs that split up the player base. So that's the business model. It is customization. You want to get the player excited in their character, invested in their character, and then monetize that emotional connection. Now, we are used to that happening with games like LoL or Smite, where the core experience is totally free. But what we're beginning to see a lot more is this moving into the premium AAA gaming space. Players do not seem to be happy about this, and frankly, Call of Duty, while they may not have led the charge, are certainly taking the piss sort of the most here. So a few weeks ago, it all started with the story circulating that Black Ops 4 was trying to sell a red dot for $1. Not a red dot sight. This was literally the design of the dot that goes in the sight. Yes, it was just a circle of pixels for $1. Now, I mean, first, it doesn't actually feel like reality, does it? It does feel like we're watching a movie that's just lampooning the industry. But no, it is real. Second, it seems like this is the type of thing that you would have been able to customize in the past. It absolutely is not the sort of thing that players would be used to paying for a la carte. Then, right after this, we had the drama surrounding the Mark of Shame. For a few hours, people who didn't have the season pass were marked by a big yellow triangle, a warning triangle in public lobbies, and this led to loads of players thinking that it was a Mark of Shame that was laughing at people not having the DLC. And then also people found it funny that, well, a lot of people didn't seem to have the DLC because there were so many yellow markers. Now, it later turned out that this was a bug, but the allegations have stuck, with many not believing that. Now, personally, I do actually believe that it is a bug based on how other games in the series have operated, where there is a warning sign in non-public lobbies so that you can, figure out why you're playing with your friends and certain maps are not appearing in the rotation. But still, it was a messy situation, partially fueled by the overall business model. You see, players got 2 maps and a zombie map, but they had to purchase the entire Season Pass up front. Now, while the Season Pass may equal, a lot of content per money over time, yeah, it doesn't feel great straight up, putting all that money down and getting a pretty small amount of content. Which is not really great. It has not made people that happy. So on the whole, it is a part of a larger drama, but recently it has got worse because they're now selling a dot for almost double the price of the previous one. Yep, this is literally a tiny image of a smiling face for £1.79. It almost beggars belief, and no doubt it is a bit more creative than straight up a red circle for $1, but in a world where some indie games cost £1.79, a smiley face does not seem worth it. For players who already feel like the Season Pass model is a steep asking price and are ticked off about the original red dot, it seems rough, especially because this is a game that has leaned heavily into microtransactions. But here's the thing though, not from the beginning. This game launched with no microtransactions. They were added in later. after launch. To me, it seems like they wanted to launch with players not thinking that there would be microtransactions, so that it would be smooth and successful. And this seems to have worked, with the game performing extremely well. But of course, once those initial sales come in, well, that's when the microtransactions rolled out. And it does feel a bit off to me. I do think that the microtransaction business model story is something. I just think that knowing that's a part of the game's business model, that factors into the decision-making of most people when purchasing a game. And that's often why you'll see in this channel me explaining business models and things like that. And I'm not doing that to justify them or anything like that. I'm trying to help people be responsible consumers and know what these companies are doing. I don't think we should cry to the government about this. I think we need to stand up on our own 2 feet and exert pressure in the market, for that is the fundamental, that's really the basis of how market economies are supposed to work. Now, in this case, it particularly ticks me off because, yes, it does seem like a company purposefully hiding their full business model such that it's only revealed after the vast majority of purchases have been made. Keep the consumer less informed, have them buy in, and then spring the full system upon them. Now, this is a channel that I think is often going to get accusations of being overly pro-business because of my model of trying to explain why things are happening and explaining everybody's logic. But even for me, this is just a bit immoral and crazy. I don't like it. Now, going back specifically to this situation, it's more than just another microtransaction. This and the other red dot are basically an expansion of what elements of a game are part of the microtransaction economy. With this move, we're seeing them expand and getting more granular, turning more and more elements of the game into something that can be monetized. Of course, these are things that used to be unlocks for doing well in the game in the past. So it is a bit of a betrayal of the game's mastery reward loop in the name of making a quick buck. By the expansion of the realm of microtransactions slowly, they begin to condition players' expectations, meaning that while the next Call of Duty will come out and have this, people will probably be angry, but a bit less so. It just won't hit them emotionally as much or to the same magnitude. But the Call of Duty after that, well, the anger will probably fizzle out, and it will just be an expected part of the business model, like a frog in boiling water. Why does all this happen? Well, it's clearly not for the sake of the game design, and I would bet that most of the people behind the game don't actually like this. I think they want nothing more than to have loads of cosmetic rewards tied to in-game challenges, such that players can unlock cool things to show off how they have mastered the game's mechanics. However, the corporate influences, well, they do overrule those people. Now, the corporate types are not exactly the pot-bellied goblins that I think many people like to imagine that they are. They are just people doing a job. The difference is that unlike the creators of the game, they have a different set of incentives. They are just a bit more disconnected from the player's experience, and for them, something like this is really just a case of, can I increase the revenue of this game by 0.1% at the cost of $10,000? Now, okay, does it take 10 grand to make a smiley face? No, probably not, but with the overheads of some of these companies, I would not be surprised. The point is that for them, it's about tweaking the variables of a money-making machine to optimize it. The devs are probably pretty sad about it, as are the players, but the goal is to make this sort of thing normal and to have the cumulative effects add up over years. 4 experiments of this nature may increase the revenue per player by a tiny percentage each, but that spread across the massive scale of what these titles operate at, and it adds up. So really the main goal is the category spread, having the microtransaction economy apply to more and more and more. And even with World of Warcraft, we kind of see this with toys coming into the in-game store in the spring of 2019. Then finally, it's worth noting that these are not actually purchased for $1 or anything like that. They are purchased with Call of Duty points. And once again, that is putting these things in the context of an economy that is different by the one in which you live in the real world, thus decreasing the emotional cost of making a purchase and kind of breaking that association. Now, what's better is that they can offer you free incentives like free Call of Duty points. Why do that? Well, it engages you with the economy without you noticing that much. It basically is getting free gems in a mobile game, but in a AAA product. Now, I normally try to get hopeful in the end of my videos or something like that, but honestly, this is a sorry state of affairs. I think this is short-sighted. I think the community or the players will lose out. It's bad for the customers. And seeing AAA games adopt the tactics of the free-to-play games is bad. You know what? I shudder to think what will happen in 10 years, and I'm not particularly sure if we're going to have any viable way of pushing back against it, other than people maybe transitioning over to indies and AA titles a little bit more. It is a really sorry state of affairs. shame on Activision Blizzard for doing this, to be completely honest with you. It's bad. And as I said, in 10 years, if these experiments keep on going year and year and year, yeah, it could be really bad for the hobby. So there you go. That's my thoughts on this one. Certainly not a happy ending, but I think it is an important topic to talk about, even though it is Call of Duty, and I know this is mainly an MMO audience, but hey, I mean, the same stuff crops up everywhere. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time.